So we're in 7.36b and Shadow Shaman is still one of the best supports to play both in the position 4 and in the position 5. Shadow Shaman had been the best support in 7.36 and 7.36a, that's why he got nerfed in 7.36b, but he's still one of the best picks among Witch Doctor and a couple of more, what we'll talk in another video. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to learn how to Shaman from the very beginning to the very end. As usual, what we're going to talk about is starting items, skill build, laning stage, game plan, mid-game itemization, and friends and foes. If you're new to the channel, hi, my name is Jeff, I'm an 8K player in the Europe region, and what we do in this channel is we learn how to play support and how to actually become better at that. So let's not waste any more time and go.
Up and down, side to side, like a roller coaster.
So Shadow Shaman is both a position 4 and position 5. While most players have connected Shadow Shaman with a position 4 role, Shadow Shaman as a position 5 is also a great hero. So before we jump into the guide, I really want to mention a couple of things about the hero. So Shadow Shaman is one of these heroes that can either solo win in the game, or you can end up doing absolutely nothing. Similar, for example, to Wyvern. So why is Shadow Shaman such a unique hero? So mainly it's because A, he's not easy to be played in the laning stage, B, everybody's going to focus a Shadow Shaman, so if you haven't itemized properly, you can end up being focused a lot and end up dying a lot. And 3, you don't have an easy way to farm compared, for example, to a CM, Lich, Jakiro, so you're gonna get some gold and you can actually come back. So as a result, let us start the guide. So the first thing that we actually got introduced in 7.36 is actually the Faceit. So what you want to do when it comes before the game starts is you want to actually pick the left one, the cluster clack. Why is it so strong? In reality, this is probably the best Faceit in the game, as it allows you to escape death multiple times and at the same time you can get to dispel allies, but we're gonna talk more in depth. And why is Shadow Shaman so strong? Because you have this foul play. Your innate ability allows you to prevent death with the hard dispel when you're about to die, so you can get away many times. So especially in the laning stage and especially in the level 1 situation, you can get away with so many deaths that you can actually get to fight back due to this innate ability. So you have your innate on point and we're good to go. So I have a lot of Shadow Shaman games and I have a lot of Shadow Shaman games in 7.36. As a result, your best starting items is actually a windlace, tangos, a couple of branches, a grenade, and of course sentries to deward your camp and to block the enemy camp. Why is windlace the best item for Shadow Shaman? It's really simple. Shadow Shaman in the laning stage in reality is a melee hero. Yes, Shadow Shaman is a hero that has a lot of damage. In fact, he has 70 damage on level 1, and as a result, he gets to punch a lot. He can actually outtrade most supports in 1v1 situation. So you should actually approach the hero similar to a Trent, similar to an Undying. But the most important thing is that Shadow Shaman, sadly for him, is not as tanky as the other melee heroes. As a result, you really need this movement speed to be able to actually right click and at the same time be able to disengage when needed. Now if you get to play versus a really spammy lane, for example something like Bristleback with a Skywrath Mage, then I would suggest you buy a stick, but 9 out of 10 times this is your best starting items. I really want to mention that when you're going to be in the laning stage, since you have high damage, you want to utilize your right click and you want to trade constantly with the hero in trading your health. As a result, try to buy a little bit more tangos and a couple of clarities, as you will not need that many mangoes. Now when it comes to skill build, Shadow Shaman is the most tricky hero. What does this mean? So when it comes to level 1, that's the most difficult thing a Shadow Shaman needs to do. If the laning stage starts and there is nothing for you to do before that, you should actually skill Aether Shock, secure range creep, and at the same time get to actually harass enemies. If you actually are in position that you found someone, you should actually skill Shackles. Let's say you smoke before minute 0 and you find someone, he's isolated, you should just Shackle and you find the first blood. Or you can just simply skill Hex if you or one of your allies is actually in danger, so you can get to Dispel. I've had many times where I had to skill Hex. Listen to the words, I had to skill Hex to actually save one of my allies, and so we wouldn't feed First Blood. Now, if you skill Aether, what you want to do later on is actually go for Shackles on level 2 and level 3, as level 2 Shackles is one of the most powerful spells in game, not only damage wise, not only control wise, but hex wise. But if you go for Hex or Shackles level 1, my piece of advice is to not actually skill Aether and leave it for after level 11. So after level 3, this is where things get to be a little bit tricky. Now, the best piece of advice I can get to give you is this. If you're playing from ahead, you should go for 1-1-3 build by level 5 and then max Hex. And if you're playing from behind, you should go for 1-2-2 and then max Hex, max Shackles. So the talent tree is new for Shadow Shaman in 7.36b, so on level 10 or level 11, you're going to go for the right one, the 170 more damage / heal on Shackles. On level 15 for the Shackles duration, on level 20 for the Hex breaks, and on level 25 for the ward's attack damage. Now, if you want to actually push waves, going for the level 25 talent Aether Shock damage is also an option. I just like because Shadow Summon you can just get to buy shard and you can deal a little bit more damage. And overall, even if you have skilled Aether Shock, what you want to have by level 9 is a 1-4-3 build. In some situation it can be 1-3-4, but it has to do with your specific playstyle. For example, I like to have maxed Shackles most of the times, but at the same time I understand that if I'm not able to land a full duration of Shackles, let's say you get to play versus a lot of heroes that can get to interrupt you, then maxing Shackles doesn't really make a lot of sense. Now, laning stage is the most difficult thing for Shadow Shaman. Why is that? As we said, Shadow Shaman is a melee hero with the weaknesses of a ranged hero. So in reality, you are a trend protector with the stats of a Crystal Maiden. So this makes a hero a little bit weird. As a result, there are 3 laning stages that I want to mention. The first one is you get to play versus heroes that have no stun. This makes the laning stage way better because you know you can land the Shackles, and Shackles is one of the best spells because it deals damage, it gets to lock down a hero, and at the same time you get to heal yourself. That's why level 2 Shackles is a great spell. So if you get to play versus 2 heroes that have no stun, so you don't really have to calculate anything because it's not that easy to get punished. If you get to play versus a hero that has a stun, let's say you get to play against the Brewmaster and the Venge, you can actually get to land Shackles on Venge and there is nothing for you to stop you. But at the same time, you can get to Shackles right after the Venge stun, for example. And then there is a lanes with 2 stuns, for example, you get to play versus a Venge and the Tiny, then things are a little bit hard and you have to be a little bit more calculated. For example, you need to wait for Avalanche to be used and then Shackles a Venge, for example. But it's really important for the laning stage to be calculated. Now, as we said previously, your biggest strength is right click. Starting with almost 70 damage, you want to constantly trade with the enemy support. So your game plan in the lane is isolate the support, trade 1v1 by using Aether Shock, or you can use even Shackles, still level 1, 70 damage, 70 heal, it's pretty nice. Get him out of the equation, and in the end, Shadow Shaman is the hero that punishes anyone that has been left alone, not only in the laning stage but in the mid game. So your game plan is buy a lot of tangos because you're gonna lose a lot of health and right click as much as you can. Make sure though that you don't get caught. Please watch this guide, it's one of the biggest mistakes, and this guide is actually going to help you on how to not get caught. Positioning is everything when it comes to Shadow Shaman, and if you end up having a poor laning stage, you're going to most likely end up losing the game, and just such a pity. So on level 1 you want to be aggressive, on level 2 and on level 3 you really want to skill Shackles and be even more aggressive. Now, one of the most classic Shadow Shaman moves, and I call this the Jeff move, even though I didn't actually make it up, is to actually gank at 5:30 when it's the nighttime. As we said, Shadow Shaman is great at punishing isolated heroes. What you want to do is probably smoke with your Windlace behind the enemy mid laner, hex him, hopefully you're going to be level 4, but So usually the mid lane ward has expired and it's nighttime, so finding a pickoff in the mid lane has pretty high chance, I'd say. So you really want to make a move, refresh the bottle in the mid lane, and then gank. Needless to say, still the wisdom, but of course there is no point for me to say any of this, just watch this guide and you're good to go. Summing up, trade with the enemy support, buy tangos, you're more of a clarity hero as you're going to kill heroes 100 to 0 rather than just slowly chip them down like a CM or a Lich would do, so definitely you want to prioritize clarities. Now, game plan for Shadow Shaman is really simple. To actually name what Shadow Shaman does is this. Shadow Shaman hates team fights. Yes, that's true. Shadow Shaman is one of the worst team fighters. Why? Because there are so many ways for enemies to find you, kill you, interrupt your spells, and when you suckle someone in a fight, then by default you're a target because you cannot get to move. Now, do not think of a Shadow Shaman with a hero that's going to have Dagger, Aether, BKB, just think of a Shadow Shaman that's going to have Arcane Boots and Windlace. Yes, these are going to be your early items. As a result, when you suckle someone, you're exposed. That's why you hate 5v5 fights. What you're good at is finding pickoffs or staying in the backline to punish the heroes that are out of position. So your game plan is this. You want to play on the back when it comes to the team fight. That means behind your carry, behind your mid, behind your backline. Yes, you're going to be in the back line. Exactly, yeah, that's a meme here. But yeah, and as a result, you want to suckle heroes that are going to jump your backline. Needless to say, you should just hide in trees, hide in fog. Overall, you really need to stay in the shadows. If I have to be really honest, even in the lower ranks, if they see you, they'll kill you. Everybody's going to jump on you, mainly because if they don't, they understand that somebody is going to be held there for like 10 seconds and most likely die. As a result, don't try to teamfight, or when it comes to teamfight, try to be really careful. Now, you really like finding pickoffs, that's why your best friend is deep vision. No matter what items you have, if you decide to go Weatherlands, Dagger, both, you really need to go for deep wards to find heroes that's isolated or to see heroes that are out of position and you can take a favorable fight number-wise. As a result, the more you play Shadow Shaman, the more you'll be able to understand that. A few tips about Shadow Shaman. So you want to be level 6 by minute 10. And in reality, you want to use your ultimate immediately. Now, in the lower ranks, what I would suggest is to use the ultimate to take a tower. Generally, lower rank players are really afraid of wards and are like, oh, they committed wards, we should just back off. But the higher ranks understand that wards are easy to kill. As a result, I would say use wards as fast as possible, even for a position 5 solo kill, for example. It's really important to use your wards as they don't really get to do something specific. The way I think of Shadow Shaman is wards are a way to tell enemies to back off, right? It's something to fear enemies, right? Oh, they committed wards, let's go back. This is how I think of Shadow Shaman myself. Needless to say though, that if you're going to go tier 1, tier 2, Roshan, yes, Shadow Shaman is one of the best heroes as you can actually use wards on Roshan and you can actually take it pretty fast. No matter the objective, wards are there and you should actually never hesitate on the spell. Similar to Lich ultimate, just throw the damn thing and you're just good to go. So summing up, what you want to do is play on the back line, or you can find pickoffs that you know they're alone. As a result, go play some deep vision. Ideally, you want some lane vision. Place some observers in the lanes and it should be more than enough for you to have enough information to play the map. Now, mid-game itemization, it's really hard for Shadow Shaman. Now, everybody knows that Shadow Shaman is really good with Blink Dagger, everybody knows that Shadow Shaman is really good with Aether, but what is the difference? So, the way I think of it, you get to buy Blink Dagger if you get to play versus high mobility heroes. For example, like Puck, like Storm, like Faceless Void, and you get to buy Aether Lens if you play versus slow heroes or high strength heroes that get to go too deep and all of a sudden they're out of position. Examples are Center, Slardar, and so on. Because these heroes, if you think about it, what they're gonna do, they're gonna blink into the backline and there's going to be a Shadow Shaman with a Nether Lens way far behind. So even if someone sees a Shadow Shaman, he's going to be really far away. So this hero that actually went to your backline is actually gone. You're gonna Hex, always start with Hex, Snakes, Aether Shock, and before the Hex ends, you get to actually Shackles and he's there. Now, ideally you want both of these items, but as we said, survivability is everything. For example, after Aether Lens or Blink Dagger, which I can understand if you want to go both, you need to consider items like Black King Bar and Glimmer Cape. Now, why is BKB so strong? Because you can actually get to blink even in a team fight, BKB and Shackles. And Shadow Shaman, if you think about, it's a really budget version of Vayne, or when it comes to control, not a budget version. So the most important thing for Shadow Shaman is to not get interrupted. So if you get to play versus a lineup that has a lot of stuns or a lot of silences, for example like a DP, like a Pack, then getting a BKB at some point is really good idea. Now, exceptions are items like Ghost Scepter that you really want to consider even before Aether Lens or Blink Dagger. Why? Because if you get to play versus heroes that has silence and can jump on you, let's say you get to play with a Clinks that has an Orchid, with a Riki that has Diffusal, or a Templar that has a Blink Dagger and a Shard, then getting a Ghost Scepter is really important. Even before Aether Lens and Blink Dagger. As we said, survivability is the most important thing pretty much in every support. So summing up, you want to get Aether Lens when you get to play versus big fat guys, you want to get Blink Dagger when you're playing versus mobility, and ideally you want both items. A small thing I want to add up here is that if you're playing from behind, getting Aether Lens is probably making more sense as it's easier to be built, and at the same time heroes are going to dive way more, so you can actually find some good pickoffs. Now, a couple of things about items. Is Shard good? Yes. Do you need to buy it fast? No. I think Shard is actually not that great, especially after they nerfed how much cast range it actually gives. Yes, Shard is great on Shadow Shaman, but it's more of a luxury item when you have actually gotten your Aether Lens, your BKB, your Glimmer Cape, your Blink Dagger, and pretty much anything that you feel like you need to survive and actually do your job. When it comes to jungle items, on tier 1, Faded Brooch, but at the same time anything that's going to tank you up, like Bubble or Siege of Serenity. On tier 2, if you have Aether Lens, you should actually use Eye of the Vizier. If you have Blink Dagger, you should go for Philosopher's Stone, because your next item is most likely after a Blink Dagger to be BKB. As a result, Aether Lens plus Eye of the Vizier is more than enough cast range to be way alive, and Dagger, you usually are a little bit more aggressive, so getting a little bit more gold to buy Glimmer Cape or ideally BKB is better. Now, Shadow Shaman is really good against some heroes and he's really bad against some other heroes. So for example, Shadow Shaman is really nice against all the spirits, Void Spirit, Storm. So Shadow Shaman gets to punish heroes that overall get to run your team down, and all of a sudden you get to hex them and shackle them, and just because enemies play aggressive, they're out of position. For example, you get to excel versus Void Spirit, Storm, Templar, Weaver, Void, and overall anything that's going to go really deep to your backline and try to kill it, like a Slardar, like a Center, like an Ursa, and so on. But at the same time, Shadow Shaman has big weaknesses. The biggest weakness of Shadow Shaman is that he cannot get to move when he shackles. So when he gets to play versus heroes that have summoned units or illusion units, then Shadow Shaman most likely, due to his squishiness, is going to die in seconds. For example, Shadow Shaman is really bad against Terrorblade, Phantom Lancer, Spectre, Lone Druid. Anything that can get to jump on the hero and kill him is really bad. To mention a few obvious counters at the same time, Silencer, because, well, Shadow Shaman is a channeling hero. So the idea is that you get to blink in, hex, and then just shackles, you're already out of position, and then global silence, and you're out of position, most likely you're going to die. And of course, Abaddon, Legion Commander. Obviously, this hero gets to hard dispel your lockdown. As a result, it's really hard to play against an Abaddon and the Legion Commander pretty much in all stages of the game. So there it is. This is a full-on guide on how to play Shadow Shaman from the very beginning to the very end. At this point, feel free to ask any questions. You guys know I actually read every single comment and I actually get to reply into that. I'm actually looking forward to hear all your thoughts about the patch and especially about Shadow Shaman, which is one of my most favorite heroes. GG Raza, and I'll see you on the next video. Hey guys, real quick, if you did like this video, make sure you subscribe, like and comment, as it motivates us a lot to keep making these videos and these guides. And of course, make sure you check out our 6-month coaching program. It's almost guaranteed that's gonna get you to the next metal, if not metals. The link is gonna be down in the descriptions. Make sure you click it and apply right now.